So this is 1 week of releases across 5 different libraries I use, or probably everyone uses in their daily workflow. So this is a Next.js by Vercel. This is one of the most regarded languages people use. This is of TypeScript by Microsoft. This is of by Tailwind. These are all the change logs which happen. This is just the bug fixes and some more upgradations they do to their main libraries. So they release all these change logs. This is of React and this is of Prisma. So, what I'm trying to tell here is somewhere in here are breaking changes that will crash my code if I upgrade without reading it. So, for example, this is a breaking change which happened in Prisma a few days ago. So, I was using Prisma in one of my projects, and I deployed and published it without actually, reading the whole thing before doing the upgrade. Now the problem in production happened, and it took me almost 4 to 6 hours to just fix this. If I would have actually just read it once, or probably just knew about it a little more in detail, that would have saved me a lot of time and effort to actually fixing it in prod, right? So that is the main thing. And although it was there in my notes, I still missed it, and it was just there, right? I wasn't actually paying a lot of attention. I realized I was never going to read these consistently, so I built something that does. So this is my project called DevBrief, and it's basically everything, all the changes and everything you get in your preferred place, that is your mail, your Discord channel, or Telegram, wherever you want it, in a single voice output, right? You don't even need to read it. You will have it in your box or a mailbox or whatever in less than, it's going to be approximately a 2 minute max voice script, which would be very easy for you to just hear it and go on with your day, right? So I'll just show you how it works. I just ran a demo script, and I'll just show you once again. So what you will be seeing right now is real deduplication and not a first run, because obviously I just ran it here. Now I'll just show you how exactly it works. So I'll first this I'm running it manually here, but it has a cron job basically, which means that you can put in your own time. Let's say you want it every day at 9 a.m. and it will just run automatically at 9 a.m. and give you the output every day on a particular time specified by you. Now let me explain you on what how it works and what it exactly does. So it first kicks off the Mastra workflow. It is a 10 steps chain process, and it each run gets a UUID. You can see it right here. That's how I track history and all the other things. And Olostep basically is a platform that handles the rendering. And these are because these are JavaScript heavy pages, you can't just curl them or like call them out, right? So this gives me clean markdown, which helps me do it in a very easy manner, right? And so as you can see here, there are two new entries with five duplicates filtered out, and classified two entries, stored two entries in HyderDB. So so I'll first tell you what summarizes here. So it reads the chain logs and classifies them, which are breaking, basically which are breaking changes or which are new features, or is it just patch, right? Now, these get synced to a cloud knowledge store, so have them across devices, which is basically HydraDB. So HydraDB is a product or a cloud platform where I put in all my details and all my like output, right? So the two entries which are stored here are caught by the local SQLite as well for my local storage, and that goes on to my cloud storage, right? Now the last part here is it's stored here. Now it is generating the script, which is powered by Grok. I'm using Llama 3.3 70 billion parameter to generate the script. Now this script gets into the text to speech model of Server, and the split script is into one chunk, and you can see here it is processing, and the audio is saved here. I'll just open it in the editor itself. Right here, this is stored here. You can see it is less than a minute, and it's published onto a digest with audio. So this is something I'll talk about later. Now this is the entire pipeline. No, no, notification channels I have configured right now. You can put Gmail, you can put Discord, you can put Telegram, whatever suits you the best, right? Now, one final thing is I'm using the text to speech converter by Sarvam because it has a lot of different languages currently, and it has a significant free tier as well. So that helped me do a lot of testing and getting it into production before actually spending my credits and getting it out there in the market. So let me now show you or make you hear on how what it exactly does and what was the output.
Good morning. Here's your DevBrief for Tuesday, 19th May 2026. And a few patches and fixes. React version unknown React 19.2.6 introduces type hardening and performance improvements for React server components. These changes enhance stability and speed without altering the public API, so no code changes are required. Svelte version unknown, the 5.55.8 release contains a series of bug fixes, including handling of Svelte, body in the printer, correcting keyframe percentage duplication, ensuring uninitialized derived stores run correctly, using named symbols consistently, preventing teardown effects on unfrozen derived stores, and synchronously unsetting context during run. No breaking changes or migration steps are required. That's your day brief for today. Have a great day.
And give you an overbrief of the entire README and how the entire structure works. So the interesting part was in the AI itself. It was building a reliable pipeline around it, right? So let me just show you on how it works and how the entire thing goes ahead. So, instead of manually checking GitHub releases or Twitter and docs across the 10 30 libraries you actively use, DevBrief collapses us into a 2-minute voice recording briefing every morning. So here's how it works. So daily trigger a cron job or an API hits or a CLI, whatever you use. It scrapes change logs from your different library stacks, whichever you have added. It deduplicates it. It summarizes it and classifies it using an LLM. You can use Grok or Olama, whatever you prefer, or probably OpenRouter as well. Currently, it supports only Grok and Olama because I'm using Grok for my own demonstration. You can add in your own providers as well. Then it generates briefing script, which is basically a script for the text to speech model of Sarvam to convert that text into voice, right? And then it gets published into different places like your Discord channel, you if you want, or your email, or wherever you want ultimately, right? The best part is each step is fault isolated. A text to speech failure still produces a text only digest, and a single library scrape failure doesn't block others. That is why this whole point is basically because I use Mastra's workflow, which is very reliable and very helpful for this kind of orchestration, right? Now, there were six problems to solve here, and I solved it one by one. First was getting the data. So I used Olostep, which helped a lot because it scrapes on your behalf and it gives very accurate data. Now the problem is the GitHub releases pages are not exactly JavaScript rendered. So they are JavaScript rendered. Sorry, my bad. You can't just curl them. So Olostep renders the page and gives me markdown. No headless browsers on my end. So that is very helpful. Second is not repeating myself. That is deduplication. So I used SQLite and then a lot of other things, which basically helped me to deduplicate. It's getting the same data in my database wouldn't help a lot. Plus, I used HydroDB for the cloud syncing and as a cloud knowledge layer because that helps me if I'm using another device. Let's say if I'm not using my laptop, if I'm using my phone, just to get a daily brief on how it works. It helps a lot in that manner. Third is understanding the context. That is why LLM is being used. Fourth is making it listenable. That is why the Sarvam's model of text to speech is very reliable there. And I just gave you a demo on how it works and how reliable it is. Number five is keeping it private. So I just told you about Tailscale. So what Tailscale here does is basically if you are working on your own project and if you have your own private work to be showed, so you can actually send those work directly between your devices on a private network. So I just added it here because sometimes you might have your own internal dependencies you are working with, and you wouldn't really want to put it out in the private public network, which people might corrupt in some very sensitive situations. So I just thought it would be a really great addition to putting a private networking part as well. Of course, it's optional. Now, the last part is making it reliable. So there are total a lot of steps in this pipeline. So and any can fail. That is why I told this particular thing is there. So the whole point is and how I tackled it was basically using Mastra's workflow engine. Each step is a create step function. They chain together, and if one fails, the entire pipeline doesn't get screwed, right? So that is the main point and how I made this entire pipeline. A few challenges I ran into were the first one was actually server returned a 400 error for almost 2 to 3 hours because I was debugging blind and it was just bad request. So I added a line that just logs the actual response body. So the error actually was I was sending the wrong field name. A very minor 10-minute fix after that, and I just you know I wasted a lot of time there. Number two was Grok was rejecting my request. So this was a small engineering like problem here. GitHub releases pages almost 18,000 tokens of markdown, right? Now the problem here happened was Grok's free tier limit is only 8,000. So I truncated the input to let's say only 3,000 to 4,000 tokens or characters, and it actually gave a very good response. So the thing is, it actually does not even need the full page to classify a changelog entry. The last part was a very stupid and like error on my part. I didn't check the latest release of Grok. So the LLM model which I wrote or the spec I first wrote was actually decommissioned by Grok, and when I designed it, it wasn't running. So I kept on hitting errors there. But then when I actually saw the actual problem, so I switched to Llama's 3.3 billion 3.370 billion parameter, and it was just working flawlessly again, as you can see. So one of these was actually just a 10 to 15-minute fix. Once I understood the problem, that is, of course, I did waste a lot of time figuring that out. So yeah, the hard part is always diagnosis and not actual repair. So one more thing, what if I run it again? Let's see. Um, right here. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So as you can see here, there are zero new entries. So it remembers what it told me a few minutes ago. So when tomorrow something actually ships, only that new release shows up. Because of course that deduplication is very important here because I don't want to see or hear or see the same thing again and again. So that's the best part of this project. So what I would actually build next on top of this is actually a library registry. So anyone who wants to use this doesn't have to actually find changelog URLs manually and put it again on their own thing. You can directly import all of them here and what or specific one which you want here, and just use it on your own. That's the best part. So the interesting thing about AI tooling isn't generating more information. It's actually filtering out the right information at the right time. So that's the reason I actually built this, and this is very convenient because even if you are driving or if you're going out or something, and probably if you're just going for office, you can just hear it. Probably it's a 2 minute thing, and it actually saves a lot of time when you're working on a very strong or important project. So yeah, the code's on GitHub and it's currently running on free tiers from all the platforms. So yeah, do check it out and try it and test it on your own. And if you set it up and if something breaks, feel free to open an issue